Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. I've got a Silver Cliff Gold Dust latte from the Sugar Lump. I'm here in my kitchen in West Cliff, Colorado. And let's do a live stream, okay? I'm going to talk about therapeutic topics. I'm going to talk about Pluribus, one of my favorite new TV shows. I'm actually wearing a shirt with the main actor, Carol Sturka. Well, that's her name in this show. Ray Seahorn is her name. All right. And what else are we're going to talk about a number of things. All right. We're going to work the therapy in and out. Okay. I'm Steve Garufi, an LPC. I've been a therapist for 22, 24 years, somewhere around there. And I work out of my home in West Cliff. Okay. And all right. So first of all, this is a good drink. My little mountain town has a few coffee shops. I like the Sugar Lump. Okay, it was established in 2020. Whoa, what a long time ago. Anyway, a Silver Cliff Gold Dust. It has English toffee and caramel. Okay, and I did get decaf. I pretty much quit caffeine. All right, I'm sorry. Hey, there's my taco sign. Do you want to see my taco sign? All right. And I got some other things. I got a Breaking Bad license plate up there. And there's my Colorado flag. See, there's proof that I'm in Colorado. And yes, I really am an LPC, license number 4201. Go look me up if you want. All right. All right. Let me just get a sip. By the way, if you're watching, go relax. Get your favorite drink, okay, whatever it is, iced tea or soda or cucumber water. Okay, I got a sugary decaf latte. I will put timestamps in the live stream afterwards, okay? So if you don't want to listen, I get it. I'll put chapters or timestamps so you can shoot ahead. All right. First topic. I actually want to talk about Pluribus. Let's talk about TV shows a little bit. First of all, not enough people have watched it yet. You can watch it on Apple TV. The first season came out in late 2025. Yeah, that's right. Okay, Pluribus. Spoiler alert, okay? Right off the bat, I want to say spoiler alert because I will probably talk about some general themes in the show, okay? All right. But first of all, Pluribus, Vince Gilligan, it's his idea. Vince Gilligan is the genius who came up with Breaking Bad. And then him and his partners, they did Better Call Saul. So just from Breaking Bad alone, I'll watch anything that he does. You know what I mean? And Pluribus, it's a science fiction. It's a science fiction show. All right? And it's also about, first, hello to all two people watching. Please say hi. Please comment. And I will do, by the way, an Ask a Therapist section. Okay, so if you've got a question, you can ask in the chat section, or you can kind of do it in the reply section afterwards. All right, but anyway, so it's kind of like a science fiction movie, or not movie, it's a TV series. But then it's like the genius of Vince Gilligan is he puts things on a head where it's not like there's aliens that are grotesque and awful and they want to destroy the human race. It's almost like, what if they were loving? What if the people who invaded the world were kind and loving and wanted to spread happiness, almost to the point where they were forcing happiness on you? Okay, you know what I mean? And like, what if instead of like the aliens who are coming to destroy the world, what if like you can hurt them? You can hurt their feelings, you know? So Anyway, if this is intriguing to you, I encourage you to watch Pluribus. And almost, with Vince Gilligan, especially with Breaking Bad and then Better Call Saul, and then definitely with Pluribus, it's like he makes these shows where it's like the viewer is often pushed into asking the question, what would you do? What would you do in this situation? What are your values? Would you act on your values? Would you speak up? Would you go along with this? It's always like, well, what would you do? And you kind of see what the characters do. And sometimes as a viewer, you're like, no, that's a bad idea. And then, 2 seasons later, that character faces the consequences, that kind of thing. But anyway, what would you do in this situation, that situation? And then it gets you thinking about, what are my values? What would I be willing to risk it all for? What are the things? You know what I mean? And then, just like Breaking Bad or a lot of ways Better Call Saul, Pluribus is like, okay, who am I cheering for? It's a little unclear. The main protagonist is Carol Sturka right here. Okay, there it is, Pluribus. Yellow seems to be the color theme of the show. But there's that issue again of like, should I be cheering for the protagonist? Is the protagonist a bad guy? Or, like in her heart, it's clear that she's trying to do what she believes is best. But it's just not so clear who the good and the bad guys are. You can make an argument that the bad guys are actually the good guys. And yeah. By the way, this show has an international flavor, which I think is amazing. A number of the actors in the cast, English is their second language. English is not their first language. And it's part of the science fiction where it's like something happens to the world and there are just a few people who are part of the cast. And in theory, they're going to work together maybe, but they're from different cultures. By the way, and then some don't even speak English at all. It's a really crazy, convoluted thing, but go watch Pluribus, all right? By the way, seriously, what if aliens came down, took over the world, and there was no more crime, no more racism, no more racist assholes, no more of humans craving for power, political power, bullying, using power, to subdue people. That whole realm, no more pursuit of like power. Really? I'm almost giving you a little bit. I can't even really comment too much about it without doing too many spoilers. But like, would you want aliens to come down and stop all crime, or like totally reduce energy consumption? You know what I mean? And, like the contributions of pollution and climate change and the burning of fossil fuels and the wasting of like all the energy we use. What if that all went totally down? No more crime. All right. You know what I mean? You could go to sleep and know there's not going to be any crime. Okay. So there you go. That's my plug for Pluribus. The first season came out last year. Go watch it on Apple TV. I'm actually talking about it. First of all, I haven't worn this shirt in a couple of months, and it was kind of just calling my name today. And I might actually watch through the first season again. I might have to renew my Apple TV membership subscription. All right. But what do you think about Pluribus? Have you watched it? Be careful about spoilers and that kind of thing. But like, what's your general thought about it? Who's your favorite character? All right. Is it Carol? Is it Zosha? I like Diabate. Would you be Diabate in Pluribus? I would definitely lean more towards doing what Diabate's doing, I think. Okay. Would you be Manusos? I love Manusos. I love these, like, these names that are just, I've never heard of them, but I love the name Manusos. How about Laxmi? I like Laxmi. I know she's kind of she comes off as very antagonistic. I don't know if she's a villain, but I want to see more of Laxmi. Okay? I got a couple of Indian friends that they have opinions about Laxmi, very strong opinions, good or bad or whatever. But I really like Laxmi. I forgot the actress's name, but she's actually from Sri Lanka, which is so interesting. Anyway, it's a great show. Go watch Pluribus. All right. Okay, enough about that TV show. Seriously, as a therapist, I just want to be clear. Like, I don't know. I want to be a full person and not just talk about therapy. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but all right, moving on to the next topic. All right, I have my handy legal pad here. Let's talk about common myths about therapy. I even have common myths about therapists. Okay. All right, but some common myths. Okay. First of all, number one, if you see a therapist, you only see a therapist when you have a severe illness. You've fallen off the deep end. Things are really, really bad. No, it doesn't have to be that way at all. Sometimes you can see a therapist because you just need someone to talk to. Sometimes life happens and we have difficulties with adjusting to things, or we need some wisdom. It doesn't mean that you're some kind of failure or, oh my gosh, you're just totally sick and severely ill. No, not at all. I see a therapist. My therapist, Natalie, helps me talk through things. She keeps my head straight. She cares. It's just like, almost like, here's my vitamin C. I take this vitamin every day. Therapy is like taking vitamins, where it's like, oh, I get a little bit of dose of wisdom. I get to talk about how I'm doing. Sometimes I have questions. Sometimes I have good weeks or bad weeks. And it's like, hey, I got to talk about something bad that happened. I want to talk about something good that happened. I just want to dispel the idea that, oh my gosh, you're seeing a therapist? Severe illness. You are so, and then there's a stigma involved in that. Nope. Nonsense. Here's another one about therapy, a myth about therapy. Number 2, therapists either they sit back quietly and they just listen, or therapy is about the therapist giving direct advice about how to live. And I think both are kind of like, two sides of a coin that are both, misguided. All right. But it's like, no, I don't tell people how to live. I'm not I'm not a Dear Abby columnist. You ever see that in the newspaper? People write in, this happened to me with my sister-in-law, blah, 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 blah. I had a wedding and somebody gave a gift and what should I do? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I'm not like a machine that just spits out answers. You should do this. You should do that. No. And then the second part is I don't just sit quietly and just listen by itself. I do, like, part of therapy is being a good listener, showing empathy, showing that you care. But ultimately, therapy is it's a collaborative effort between the client and the therapist. And the client is in charge of their goals. What are you trying to achieve? What do you want to get out of this? And working together and talking through okay, here's my strategy. Here's my treatment plan, so to speak. Here's what I'm going to like take on. Okay. So it's a collaborative thing. Occasionally I get a client that's like asking me, what should I do here? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess here's what I would do, but I'm not that good of a person. I have a temper. I probably would do this. It would, you know what I mean? So anyway, but I'm always respectful about saying, hey, what do you think you should do? Let's explore like your options, your values. What do you hope to accomplish? And then the one caveat that I always say is like, yeah, like there are some things where it's like, I always use this example. If a client tells me they're using cocaine every single day, they're using drugs, cocaine, okay, or whatever, meth, I will absolutely say, hey, you should not do this. Let me just stop the conversation. You should stop doing that because it's not good for you and blah, 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 right? So there are some examples where it's like, yeah, it should be obvious that I would give that direct advice about you should not do this. But ultimately, I'd like to think that most people in their hearts, something like drug abuse, they know they shouldn't be doing it, right? So anyway, that's another myth. Here's another myth. This is actually about therapists, okay? Because occasionally somebody does this with me. People think when I'm not working, like right now, I'm in my kitchen here, going out socializing, seeing friends or something. They think like, sometimes people say like, are you analyzing me? You know, they have this perception that I'm sort of in this like work mode or something like that. And I can assure you, if you're not paying me, I'm not working on you as a therapist. I'm just a dude with my own life, my own issues. I want to talk about myself and my personal life, you know? So trust me, like if I'm whatever out with some friends, I'm not looking at people diagnosing them or whatever people have in their heads. Like I'm not doing that. All right. So, because really, like I remember one therapist telling me she was really struggling. Well, she was burning out a little bit, and I was trying to encourage her. And most therapists need to take more vacations, but she was telling me that, like, when she got home from work, and you know, she came home, went home to a husband. She was like, "I've been listening to people all day, and addressing their issues, blah blah blah. I want to talk about myself. I want to talk about how I'm doing. I want to watch a TV show that I want to watch." And it's kind of that theme. It is that theme. So, by the way, if you're a personal friend watching, it says there's 3 people watching. Like, yes, of course, I want to be a good listener to my friends. And I like to think I am. And I still show empathy outside of the confines of providing therapy for clients, you know. But there is that principle of like, I'm not analyzing you, okay? All right. I'm having fun. At the very least, I'm having fun. I'm having fun with this live stream. And thank you to everyone who's watching. Here's another just simple, this one's kind of related to the first one, but number 4, if you go to therapy, you're weak. You're weak. You should be strong. You can handle this. Don't be a little wuss. You're weak. You're pathetic. Don't. It's just a lie. Culturally, sometimes, or there's cultures where it's like, you don't do that. You just don't go to therapy. You got to be strong. You know, nonsense. Sometimes it actually shows that you're strong. It's a sign of strength to say, hey, I need a little bit of help. I need to talk to somebody. I need a little bit of direction, you know, about what's something going on in my life. All right. So let me just see what else. Oh, here's another. This one I found on Google. And it's Talking to a friend is the same thing as therapy. Now, listen, if you've got good friends who are supportive, that's wonderful. It's beautiful. Go talk to your friends. I hope you have a wonderful support system. Okay. And sometimes after talking to a friend or a family member, you know, you can feel just as good as like from a therapy session. Okay. But it's not the same. It's not the same. A good therapist is a trained professional with listening skills. They may have, first of all, they should be much more objective. Okay. They're not emotionally tied to what you're talking about. They can be objective. Okay. They may have professional acumen, like training or like ideas. Sometimes my clients are talking and all of a sudden I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is trauma. What they're talking about was a traumatic event. And so sometimes it's like I start kind of like educating my clients about trauma, how trauma affects our minds, our brain chemistry, our nervous system, how it can affect our behavior, our emotions, all sorts of like issues in a person's life. You know what I mean? So anyway, a good therapist has training and they may have like wisdom or experience or something to share that maybe an ordinary friend who doesn't have that training wouldn't have to offer. So, okay. And then also a good therapist will offer like strategies that work or are helpful, especially to the extent that a person is trying to reduce symptoms of anxiety or depression. There's something called evidence-based practices, which is like, you know, science and I'm not using good words, but like where there's been actual studies saying, hey, this is a proven way based on scientific studies that reduces panic attacks or this or that, or like this is something that has been known with studies that reduces depressive symptoms. It might be something you want to try. All right. So make no mistake. I want you to have lots of friends. I want you to have lots of people to talk to where you really feel connected. It's going to be so good for you, but it's not the same as working with a therapist. Okay. I think that's it. Is that everything? Yeah, that's it. So those are some common myths about therapy. All right. I'm going to keep working on my Silver Cliff Gold Dust latte. It's funny, they called it, I actually like the name. Silver Cliff is just up the road. There's a big mine up there, but they mined for silver because it's called Silver Cliff. So I don't think they were mining for gold up there, but anyway, Silver Cliff Gold Dust. I'm kind of curious. How's your journey with therapy? How have things been going with therapy? Have you ever had a really good experience in therapy? What was that therapist like? What was helpful about it? What was it? Something about the nature of the conversations? Was it like a recommendation that therapist made that you followed through on? Was it something about the relationship between you and the therapist? I'm just curious about what was best. And I suppose I'm trying to be positive, but the negative could be like, what hasn't worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? Sometimes I ask my clients that, especially if they have a history of seeing a few therapists, is like, what didn't work? You know, I'm okay with like hearing about like, well, this is what I definitely don't want. I don't want my therapist to do this. And then it at least will spark a conversation about how people grow, how people heal, how people achieve goals in therapy. You know, So that's all. Just a thought there. How long? Go watch Pluribus. Go get a Silver Cliff Gold Dust at the Sugar Lump Coffee Shop in Westcliff. And be careful about those myths about therapy. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. Even like one more common myth is like, I'm trying to think of like, well, here's a common myth about feelings. Sometimes my clients who are in resistance to sharing or being vulnerable with me, maybe we do have rapport, they feel comfortable with me, but sometimes the topic comes up of like, I don't want to feel my feelings because on some deeper level, they've got a belief that if I feel sadness, as an example, and I cry or, lose control of my feelings, it will lead to utter ruin and I will cry and cry and cry forever. That's a myth. You feel your feelings and then you're done with them. You know what I mean? You feel them and then after whatever, a few minutes or however, I don't know how long, but it's not like, oh no, I can't go there because it's going to lead to ruin. That's been a theme recently. It's like, no, feelings are just feelings. You feel them. Some are good, some are bad, some are neutral. Your feelings won't kill you. Like really, they won't kill you. They're not the boogeyman. They're not the boogeyman. Okay? So just talking here. Hey, Linda. Yeah, you got it, Linda. Linda, have you watched Pluribus? I should be talking about therapeutic topics. Hey, Janice. Hey, Janice, have you watched Pluribus? This is my Pluribus shirt. Okay, see? It says Pluribus down there. It's on Apple TV. Vince Gilligan, who was the writer for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, he's got a new show. So go check it out. Okay? You know what's funny? On my Midnight Cactus YouTube page, I've had a couple of clients now tell me, they looked me up, which is reasonable. They Googled my name or something. And they found my YouTube channel. And then they saw, like, I've got a few playlists. And I think at the bottom, the 5th playlist, I've got Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, filming locations. And you can see my videos. And anyway, I've had a couple of people say, hey, I'm a big Breaking Bad fan. So I just said, what the heck? I'm going to try this therapist. So there you go. Seriously, if you love Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, okay, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's at least one thing we would have in common. I don't know if I'm the right therapist for you, but we would at least have that to kind of talk about and giggle about and actually, it's really fun. For those clients who know Better Call Saul, a couple of times the character Chuck McGill has come up because his relationship with Jimmy, that's in Better Call Saul, that relationship, there's a lot to talk about from a therapeutic standpoint when people are talking about like whatever, conflicts with their siblings or I don't know, comparing yourself to others. Jimmy McGill wanted the approval of his older brother and he compared himself to his brother. And anyway, you know what I'm talking about if you've watched Better Call Saul. So anyway, I'm just rambling here. Yeah, Linda. Hey, Linda, go on my Midnight Cactus main page. And I just have some basic videos and playlists. I got a Brene Brown playlist where a lot of her good talks. So people can just watch her talks if, they're really helpful. And then I do have a Better Call Saul Breaking Bad filming locations playlist. Don't you know it? All right, let's talk. Linda, you brought up a great topic. Jimmy McGill should have saw a therapist. He was so not in touch with his feelings. It's called emotional intelligence. He was like lacking sorely in the matter of emotional intelligence. In fact, he was projecting his sort of yucky feelings onto other people. Poor Jimmy McGill. He's actually in a prison in Montrose, Colorado. In theory, okay? I could go visit him. It would be like a 3-hour drive for me, right? Roughly about 3 hours I could visit him in Montrose. So, the other thing too is I will say this. When I was watching Better Call Saul, I've watched it a bunch of times now. Chuck McGill, even though a lot of people don't like him, and it's obvious why, he was difficult and too prideful. There were problems, but there was still this part of my heart that was like, oh, Chuck, why don't you see a therapist? I'd love to work with you. Let's just talk things out. Heart to heart. You know what I mean? Because Chuck had that electromagnetic allergy thing. He just needed someone to really sit down with him and talk with him and just show that you care. Chuck McGill. And then, of course, he died by suicide, which was awful. And I still think that Chuck McGill in the show would not have died by suicide. He was too prideful. I don't think he would have just said, no, I got to stay alive just to make sure my brother, Jimmy McGill, doesn't do more damage to people. And, anyway, if I was Chuck McGill's neighbor, I would have visited him and just been like, hey, how's it going, man? I don't know. That's just my heart. But Better Call Saul, and I guess Breaking Bad too, but definitely Better Call Saul. There's characters where, as a therapist, I'm just thinking, oh man, I wish I could just work with you. Will you just go to therapy and talk things out with a caring professional who will listen and give you empathy, maybe challenge you a little bit? Just go to therapy. All right, Janice, I haven't seen Shrinking. Okay, Janice, listen, I'm very opinionated. All right, it's almost like if I watch Shrinking, will you watch Pluribus? Because I do recommend Pluribus. That's all. Pluribus was filmed in Albuquerque, New Mexico, most of it. And the main protagonist, lives in Albuquerque. Has nothing to do with Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. But the actor, Ray Seahorn, she was in Better Call Saul as a different character. And she's a very different character in Pluribus. Okay? So, all right. Yeah, all right. So I'll have to watch Shrinking. All right. I'm kind of picky with like TV shows. This is embarrassing because so many people loved it, but I started watching The Sopranos and it was okay. And like, I couldn't even get through the second show. There was something in me that was like, okay, like, I'm sure it's going to get better and more exciting. But there's just a part of me that was like, why am I watching this? This isn't that good. But anyway, so for what it's worth, I couldn't even get past the second episode of season 1 of The Sopranos. So you didn't like The Sopranos? Janice, have you watched Breaking Bad? Janice, you got to watch Breaking Bad. Just trust me. Okay, Janice. All right, let me just look. Myths about therapy. Let me just see. Wait. Here we go. The AI is giving me. Wait, let's see. Therapy lasts forever once you see a therapist. Actually, that's something that therapists, I've seen my fellow therapists mistake, is it's almost, well, how do I want to say this? I've been in milieus. It was a long time ago. But there's a sense that, like, once you get a client, you should see them weekly forever and ever for at least a few years and really help them with all their issues and blah, 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 and fix this and fix that and all this long-term healing and growth. And it's like, I do have a few clients like that where they've been seeing me for years. And it's a beautiful thing. But, like, therapy shouldn't be necessarily long-term. It's okay to have a client and they see you for a few weeks. You help them and they leave. You work with someone for 2 to 3 months. You help them and they leave. And anyway, I worked in a milieu where there were, I say milieu, that's like context or environment. I remember I worked somewhere where it was like you were immediately blamed if you got a client and they only saw you once or twice and they moved on, because that happens. About 25% of my clients, new clients, they see me once or twice and they're gone. No matter how good I am, or whatever, for whatever reason, they see me once, maybe twice, poof, they're gone. You know, another quarter will see me like 4 to 6 weeks, maybe, and then they're gone. Another quadrant, another 25% see me like 2 to 6 months, and then they're gone. And maybe that other last 25%, if, you know, maybe even like 20%, 15%, some of them, I can't get rid of them. And I say that in a good way. But yeah, like they work with me for years. You know what I mean? I got one client I've been seeing for like 7 years, and we're down to once a month. But I see her once a month. I know her like a family member or something. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. So anyway, therapy shouldn't necessarily last forever. Sometimes you can see a therapist 1 or 2 or 3 times, almost like get what you need and move on. So that's all. Yeah. You got it, Janice. Yeah. It's just fun talking about therapy. It's a great job. I was 20 years old. 20? Somewhere around there. I was a bratty kid. I was troubled. I didn't know how to regulate my emotions at all. I was immature. And I ended up seeing a therapist. And I walked into this woman's office in New Jersey where I was living. I grew up in New Jersey. I was in college. And I remember walking into this woman's office, doing a session. She just had a small little suite with some furniture. It was just a nice little modest office. And I just thought to myself, this is the coolest job this woman has. She gets to just sit in a cushy chair. She's got other cushy chairs. And she just sits here and talks to people and listens to them and tries to help them. And I remember just thinking, that sounds like a cool job. I would love to have that kind of job. That's where the seed was born. The dream was born inside me of like, I think I want to be a therapist. You know? So, and now here I am. That was like 1992 or 1. It was roughly 35 years ago. 35 years ago. 35 years later, I've been living the dream. I've been a therapist for over 20 years. In the last 8.5 years, I've done private practice, no boss, no coworkers. Indirectly, my clients you are my boss, but it's still kind of indirect. You know what I mean? And I work out of my living room and I get to just focus on helping people. And I got my cushy living room over there with a few nice pieces of furniture and my crazy decorations. You know what I mean? Like a dream come true. Absolute dream come true. I'm not getting rich, but I make enough. I'm really thankful. No commute. I have no commute. I dress real casually for my jobs. I wear hoodies. I wear t-shirts. You know what I mean? I don't wear my cowboy hat, though. I don't wear my cowboy hat. Maybe I should. But anyway, just want to say it's been a great career. It's had its hard times, really hard times. Sometimes just making a living, like not making a living. There's lots of negatives, but occasionally I either have a client or some young person in college or somebody I'm talking to, and they're like, yeah, I'm kind of interested in being a therapist. It sounds like and I'm always like, you should do it. Go do it. It'll be worth it. You know, I've got one friend in Arizona. I won't say her name, but she's a good friend. She could be my daughter in age, and she's a good listener. Really does a good job listening, always offering empathy. And I say to her, I'm like, listen to me. You've got what it takes. Like, you have the it factor. You can be a therapist. There's no question in my mind, just based on the way she talks, like, because I sometimes talk to her about my problems. And I'm like, listen to me. If you want to be a therapist, you have what it takes. If you don't want to be a therapist, that's fair. Okay. But if you want to be a therapist, you absolutely have the skills. You already have the skills. You just have to get your graduate degree and your credentials, but you already have it, so, so I'm very upbeat and I've got this laughter going on. I don't think this is I said no caffeine, but I feel kind of jumpy. So I live in West Cliff, Colorado. Beautiful little mountain town. I'm not a city guy. I was thinking about this afternoon. I'm not working anymore, so I saw some clients in the morning. I might drive over to Bishop Castle, and the Aspen Acres fire is pretty much out. And but I thought maybe I'd find a forest where the trees are all burned and charred, and I don't know, maybe just do a little wander video looking at the forest. So that's on the agenda. It's only 1:30, so I got time. So maybe in the afternoon, late afternoon, I'll do that. So, all right, you know what? I'm done. Hey, I really appreciate you watching. If you got questions or comments, you can ask in the reply section. I can't be like your therapist in the reply section. Don't treat me like a Dear Abby columnist either. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, you can still ask questions or give your feedback or whatever. Okay. I really appreciate you watching. I'm going to put chapter timestamps in there for fast forwarding and all that. And hey, I really appreciate you watching. Live a good, I just want to wish you like joy and freedom. Live your best day today. All right. All my love to you, heart to heart. Okay. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.